Hello, everybody. Welcome to tonight's episode of Hunter Bad Blood. This should be episode 2 if you were keeping track, which I try to. We are, I don't know if you noticed, but we're down a few people this evening. Carly will be joining us hopefully later on in the evening, and Tim has some stuff going on out there in California. All of our thoughts go out to him as apparently there's yet another wildfire in California. So hoping the best. Tim, stay safe. And Sid, I knew Sid wasn't going to be here tonight. That's why he passed out at the end of last game. Spoilers. Go back and check out episode 1. But hello, fellas. Thanks for joining me. Why don't we do a couple of intros and we'll jump into it. Ed, why don't you tell us who you are and who you are playing? And I'm going to deliver this while you do so.
Got to make sure Libby gets her snacks, right?
True.
My name is Ed. I stream very occasionally as Neuromaster on Twitch, but more often than not, I'm right here with the fine folks at Wanderer's Haven, just really enjoying the tabletop lifestyle. This evening, I am playing Billy Gray, and really looking forward to getting it on.
Nice. And Jason, how about yourself?
Hey, I'm Jason, as mentioned. I occasionally stream here on Twitch as well, but mostly you'll catch me here playing games with these fine folks.
Nice.
They let me stick around, so it's a lot of fun.
And we're already getting
Spammers.
Kaboom! And who are you playing tonight?
Oh, sorry, I'm playing Peter, a.k.a. Alex, a.k.a. the Garlic Bomber.
The Garlic Bomber. I feel like maybe vampires tell horror stories to their childer about you.
There was a very good Viva La Dirt League recently with Greg the Garlic Farmer hunting vampires with his garlic grenades.
Nice. I'll have to check that out because they make some really, really entertaining videos.
They do.
So, it is about a bazillion degrees in here. If I tangent off and become a puddle of goo, I apologize. But let's go ahead and dive in tonight. Let's do a quick recap. Last week, we found Raymond, who was a bartender in a small little, not quite dive bar, but just kind of a little hole-in-the-wall bar. They were having a DJ night. Raymond was serving drinks with Fiona, his co-worker, when some of the people that came with the DJ apparently had led her and some of the other attendees for the evening out behind into the employees' area only. Meanwhile, you two, so Peter, Billy, and Mary, who is Carly's character, were there for a purpose. You were following up on a lead that your fellow hunter, Professor Hayden Raskin, who is Tim's character, had found that there might be something weird going on with this club, or maybe just with the DJ, or something. There were some of the kids were talking in his class, like maybe some strange things had been following this DJ around. And so the three of you had set off to investigate, keep an eye on things. Alex, outside, you had kept an eye on the door to make sure no one was escaping or something vastly out of your league was sneaking in behind your friends. And inside, Billy and Mary had dealt with the dancing crowd and tried to figure out what was going on in there. Realizing the situation, Billy had noticed that both bartenders had disappeared. Thinking that was strange, especially on such a busy night. You'd caught the back, essentially, of Raymond heading out, and you were trying to figure out what was going on. And so while Mary was asking about some strange person in a hedgehog hat, a possum hat. That's what it was. It was a like a big possum head plastic thing. She was trying to figure out what was going on with that guy, and you had headed outside to find Ray and his fellow bartender under attack by vampires. Yes, like Dead Mao, but a possum, not a cat or mouse. Mouse. So, in the brief battle that occurred, some explosions did go off. As we return to this scene, inside you can hear the thumping beats of the DJ's music playing away. Alex, there's a little bit of a ring in your right ear that's just kind of lingering from the explosion, but you can hear the sirens. As several moments have gone by, there are car alarms going off. You can hear shouts of alarm and confusion down the short alley that you would come back to get to this little employees kind of a closed off section. And there's this sense of urgency as your danger has gone up by a point, just so the two of you are aware. However, on the rooftop, Mary is currently stomping out what looks like the remnants of a fire that she had started as she blew alcohol and then ignited it onto the vampire that was trying to escape. It looks like she's taking care of things up there. Alex, you glance around and you see there were two other people that were led out here. Both of them are now either unconscious or dead. The other bartender, Fiona, she is alive. She's kind of groggily trying to sit up, trying to figure out what's going on. Her eyes are having a hard time focusing. You've seen this before in other rescues that you've made of people that were being fed upon kind of in a daze and some kind of stupor. You glance over and Billy is looking down at this bubbling mess of what used to be a vampire, the one that attacked this bartender that had followed the rest of the crew out, and then some strange effect had happened, some strange reaction of the bartender's blood being drank by the vampire had caused the vampire to look like it was in sunlight. It was starting to blacken and char, to bubble, smoke, and like what you commonly see when vampires are exposed to sunlight. Billy, as you look down at this, there's this scent of burning hair that's just filling your nostrils, like cloying. You can almost taste it. You look at this bartender who's bleeding slightly from his neck. The wounds haven't healed over, as some vampires will do. Apparently, the interaction was just too brief for the vampire to try and heal over these wounds. You're not sure if he was trying to kill Ray or, sorry, the bartender that you still don't know his name. You're not really sure what's going on, but that smell is just stuck in your mind, and you kind of float back, not really thinking about it. You go back to several years ago, 2019, It's August 30th, and it is oppressively hot. The heat wave that you've been going through has yet to have any signs of breaking in the coming days. And even though you're sitting in your slacks and your dress shirt, your work uniform, in your position of detective or junior detective, you've got your top button is unbuttoned and your sleeves are rolled up and the sweat's just drenching you. And even though it's uncomfortable, you have this feeling of elation because you did it. You have finally caught your guy. You have found the proof that you needed to get the investigation on Lieutenant Tegan Maldonado to go through, even though you'd been warned against it, even though you'd been told to drop it. You recently decided to tail Maldonado and some of his cronies is the word you tend to use. They're beat cops, detectives from other areas, but mostly they're stationed up in the Mission area of northern LA. You are kind of in more central LA, and you are part of the internal affairs investigations. And last night, against the... You don't want to... You have a hard time thinking, was it order? It wasn't necessarily an order. It was more like a hefty suggestion that you drop it. You went out after Maldonado. Sorry, that name is going to get me every time. With your camera and your phone, and you were like, I just want to see, because there's been these dots that you've been connecting, and something's not right. And in what was supposed to be Maldonado answering a call to a body that was found in an alley, you've managed to find a way to get kind of up on like a nearby roof, and you're edging towards you'd been edging towards the edge of the roof, and looking down, you could see Maldonado and some of his a couple of his flunkies, and there's this body that they're stuffing into a trunk. And you quick turn on the video function on your phone and start recording, and meanwhile you've got like your camera with a zoom, you're getting pictures. They're laughing, they're stuffing this guy into a trunk pretty uncaringly, just kind of smushing him in there. It looks like there wasn't even enough room for the body to go in, so they kind of like, they raise up a foot, Maldonado stomps on it, shoving it into there. And there's a moment where like there's just this surrealness that sets in, that like you've caught this guy that you knew was corrupt, you knew he was doing something, but you've done it, and now you need to get this to your boss and show her that this was legit, right? And so you wait till they finish up. They're joking. You're not really hearing what they're saying, but you can hear their laughter, and it just there's this anger that starts to build up in your gut. But today, you did it. You won. You've delivered the evidence, and not 2 hours ago, not only was Maldonado brought in cuffs, but several of his flunkies that you had made ties to, especially the two that were in the video, were brought in. How are you feeling right now?
I think this is like mostly a moment of triumph. Um, this is one of my very first busts as like IAD, right? Like
Hmm.
it's not my first bust as a detective, but going after rotten cops is just a hairy thing. It's a worthwhile thing. It's something that Billy cares a whole lot about. Um, but like there's the elation of like I did it, but how can I be so psyched about this rotten cop treating the body of someone that used to be a person just like a thing? Um, so I think like, outwardly he's happy, but there's this sort of sickness underneath it that uh, taints the experience. It's not purely celebratory.
Okay. So as you are sitting there and thinking about all of this, and there's like some details that are kind of crossing your mind, just like weird things, like how easily Maldonado was able to just kind of fold this guy into this space that wasn't meant to fit a person into it. Just kind of, it's still lingering in your head, and you are happy that he's there, but there's still questions that you have. And you're like, well, maybe I can go talk to him. And you hear the elevator ding and the doors roll open, and you're not right next to it, but your desk that sits in this large open area is just like a couple of desks over from the aisle that goes down to the main office, the one that on one side the commander sits, and on the other side the assistant commander sits. And as the doors slide open, there's just this feeling of cold that settles over you, like you shiver, the hair stands up on the back of your neck, and you glance over, and these three men wearing very expensive, very finely tailored suits that your first, even with all of this, your first gut reaction is like, how are they not melting in this heat? They walk in, they don't even look around, they just head directly down the aisle towards the assistant commander's office. You see them open the door. They don't wait. They don't announce themselves. They don't, have the politeness to even knock. They just open the door and walk in. And you see the last one to step in turns and looks out the window, pulls the string for the blinds, drops them down, and then turns the little rod to close them. What do you do?
Um, I think I get up and I want to head up to the front desk. They
Okay.
must have gone by there on my way in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, see who's working the desk. Did they must have gone by? Do you know who these guys are? They just strolled in like they owned the place.
Yeah, so there's a younger guy there. You can't seem to remember his name. It's just one of those things where like maybe you pride yourself on names, but for whatever reason, this guy is just like, he's so quiet. You never really notice him unless like he comes out to tell someone something. He's just kind of staring down the aisle, and then he looks up at you. Did you ask him something specifically, or like did you ask who these people are or what? Or
Yeah, who's the Gucci trio?
he looks over at you, and his expression kind of turns to one of, I don't want to say disinterest, but it's really the only thing that's coming to mind. Like, he shifts gears, and it's pretty obvious on his face. He's like, oh no, they're just there's some lawyers, Deacon and Associates or something like that. I hear you're the one who brought in Maldonado.
I did. I knew something was rotten with him. He was messing with somebody up on the north side like it was a freaking sack of potatoes.
Yeah, that guy. Wouldn't be the first complaint brought in. Is there anything I could do for you? Did you need something?
Those lawyers were they expected? I just a little weird to see them just strolling right on into the assistant commander.
You know, when you spend enough time here, you'll get used to seeing them. They have their clientele. They're I would stop them. I used to stop them, or at least try to, but it's one of those things where no one's going to make them wait anyway. So why put forth the effort, right?
Deacon and Associates, you said?
Yeah. Actually, I think I've got one of their cards here. He opens a drawer, and you actually kind of glance down. You see that there's several of their cards that are just kind of scattered around in this drawer. But he takes a moment and here's one. And he hands it over to you.
They're not with the district attorney's office, are they?
No. No.
Okay, well, don't mind if I do. I think Billy will take the card and head back to his workstation and see what Google has to say about Deacon and Associates.
Okay. As you head over and you sit down on your computer, you open your browser, you use your Google foo, and they have a website that is very well presented. Doesn't really say much. You do get the idea that they're lawyers for something. It doesn't say what kind of law they practice. There's some phone numbers and some email addresses. There's a login area for clients. But you're actually just going to their website. You're not really seeing exactly what it is they do. They are headquartered in one of the most expensive high-rises in downtown LA. But you're not really sure. So you go back and you start looking around for some more information. There's some Yelp reviews that are all like 5 stars. Hey, this like Deacon Associates is great. They got me out of a fix. I was in a bind and they really came to bat for me, blah, blah, blah. And just kind of these somewhat generic, but very like supportive feedback or reviews that have been left. What else would you like to look up? Like, is there anything you want to delve into specifically?
Does Glassdoor have anything on them?
Oh, that's a good question. I feel like it would have like a profile, but it's much like the website where it says they're a law firm, and it comes back with Glassdoor is like incomes and stuff like that, doesn't it? Like it breaks down.
Yeah, and it's like for employees to review their employers, right?
Right.
What was it like working at?
So there aren't many reviews in the way that like there's so many. Sorry, I was just reading while I did that. Don't read what the chat is saying. There are several posts on there from what looks like maybe current employees about what a wonderful place it is to work. The benefits are great, but you're not really seeing anything from people who worked there previously, like as though people who work here stay or don't leave reviews when they leave.
I mean, I think at this point I'm striking out on a couple different avenues, and it's honestly probably more important that like I make sure that the case that I'm building against Maldonado like is actually one that we can get to stick. So I'm probably going to turn my attention back to that. You know, I've got the evidence and all that, right? But we're not done until, you know, we've executed disciplinary action at best and maybe criminal proceedings depending on what I found out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's obvious that like what he was doing was wrong, but like there's still legwork to be done on like what actually was he up to,
Mm-hmm.
and like what are we gonna charge or investigate him, you know, with or for.
So let me ask you, what kind of record keeping does Billy do? Is this record keeping that is computerized only? Is it digital in the cloud, or is this more physical files, paperwork, or a mixture of both?
I think Billy's style is that he will, you know, he'll use his department computer for, you know, for investigation, for logging cases, for it's 2019, right? Not 1989. You can't do your job without the computer system. So it's not as if he's hiding records or anything like that. But I think that his personal theories, his working notes, I think he prefers a paper notebook.
Okay. So you reach over to grab your notebook and you start flipping through, and as you do, you glance up and you notice that the door to the assistant commander's office is open. The blinds are still shut, and you can see one of those fellows standing. He's looking out the door, but he's several feet into the office. He's looking out the door, and you just get this eerie feeling that he's just staring at you. Like, you couldn't prove it, but you kind of look around, and there's other people doing their jobs. Some of them every so often glance up and see this guy also, and they kind of look around to see if there's somebody else that this guy's staring at, and then they go back to work. But he's just staring.
How were my colleagues in the office reacting to the presence of these suited fellows?
I would say not everyone is in the office, so there are several people that did see him come in. Why don't you do me a roll for your first roll of the night? Let's do awareness under skills and either wits or intelligence. I want to say wits, but I'll give you the choice.
All right, so that is 2 successes on 6 dice. Not great.
Not great, but it was enough. You kind of look around and you notice that some of them are pretending to work. They are kind of, a couple of your coworkers are standing nearby, and like they've got a file that's kind of held between them, but they're talking, and like every so often they're just like looking up and seeing what's going on. They're more like watching what's going on in the room as opposed to actually doing their job. So that there's definitely an interest that has been gathered, but it seems very subdued in the way that no one is openly talking about it.
Creepy.
As you are taking all of this in, you glance back over at the door and you see the assistant commander walk through. What does the assistant commander look like?
Let me check. Was that? I know I put some people in Billy's backstory.
So that's
Yeah,
Alice.
that would be Captain Alice Choi, right?
Correct.
So I'm imagining that um, Choi is probably about 5'3", pretty small person, but someone who sort of walks with the confidence of someone, you know, many times her size.
Totally.
And so I think the other thing that I've just noticed about her is just that her uniform is just like improbably spotless. Like there's just never crumbs. Like when it's hot out, like not a drop of sweat. I don't know how she does that, but that just always stuck out at me.
Okay. So she comes walking in from. There's a hallway that leads down to like a holding area and like a questioning, like all of the interview rooms. She comes walking back in. You didn't notice her leave. And right before she steps into the open doorway, she scans the room that you're in, her eyes lingering on you just before she steps in and closes the door. What do you do?
I think I'm going to take sort of a moment to psych myself up. You know, she's the commander of the whole department, as I understand it, right? Not just the commander of internal affairs.
She's like the next step down. There is like a one person above her, but for the most
Right.
part,
But like
yeah.
what I'm getting at is like I'm thrilled to be doing my job. She may not be entirely thrilled at what is going on with me doing my job. And
Right.
just trying to remind myself that like, you know, I knew this coming in, that like this was going to be difficult, that cops don't like cops investigating cops, but you've got to do it anyway because otherwise no one will.
Right.
And it's important work, even if you're not always going to get accolades for it. So it's all the more important to make sure that like what I'm putting together is actually going to be bulletproof. Because I don't think a lot of people are going to be happy when I do my job well,
Yeah.
necessarily.
Yeah. It definitely depends on the people. Now, let me ask you, when you turned in this evidence, did you bring it to her, even though she's the one who told you to drop what you were doing in the mission area? Or did you give it to someone else and it ended up going, obviously it would have had to, but it ended up going up the chain from there?
I don't think I would have brought it to her, right? Like I'm not a cat bringing her a trophy. I'm going to take it to evidence or booking,
Okay.
right? At the same time, like I think if I'm writing like an email summary or something like that, I think I probably would have like copied her on it. Somewhere between a courtesy and maybe to myself a little bit of a gloat that like uh you know, maybe you thought that Maldonado was, the golden boy of Mission, but like no, like he's actually a scumbag and I can prove it.
Nice. So with all that going through your head, you turn your focus to your notepad and you're flipping through and going back several months, maybe a couple of years, maybe longer, depending on sometimes the reports get muddled. Sometimes the witnesses' statements are redacted, like they have part of them there, but there's like information that's been struck from them in the electronic files, and you haven't been able to find physical files for those. And you've been going through for months because you started getting the first thing you started looking into Maldonado was just a financing thing. Like it was possible that he might have been skimming money from somewhere, or like whether it was evidence or he was being paid off or something. And then there were financial records of him making deposits that were outside of his paycheck, like just larger sums of money that he shouldn't have had. And as you started delving into it more, you started connecting more dots where it was, well, there was this body that was found and it was called in as like a murder. There were witnesses that said they saw someone attack this person, but it ended up flipping to a suicide after Maldonado, or one of the people that you've now connected to Maldonado, have, once they took over the case. And you haven't worked it all out. You haven't quite figured everything out yet, but there was enough that you were just like, there's something going on. And
now, was this like a borderline, like maybe the coroner got it wrong, or maybe it was called in wrong, or is this like a 2 gunshots to the back of the head suicide?
Well, so you've looked into coroner reports, and probably the most damning evidence that you could find that there was something squicky going on with the outcome of how these people died on paper is that the same coroner signed off on all of them. And it was always for Maldonado or one of his lackeys. And you've seen some autopsy photos, but a lot of them just found a way to disappear, apparently. You're not really sure how that happened. You're still working on that part. You're still trying to find the evidence that should be there that's just gone. Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. It's not easy to prove that there was something malpractice or something illegal going on. It's not like open and shut. It's maybe it would have been easy to find out, like if the photos hadn't gotten corrupted or lost, or
right. And there are like crime scene photos and stuff like that where it would have been, if it was a murder, there would have been certain protocols that were taken as far as things go, but everything just seems kind of washed away and put into this suicide bin for all of these people.
Is Maldonado doing a good job with his suicides? Like, is he doing the right tox screens? Is he doing, calling families or trying to bring up psych backgrounds, or is this just a bin that things are disappearing into?
I would say the further back you went, especially with Maldonado and the ones you can prove were linked to him, it was the further back you went, the more he did go out and talk to families. He did do talk screens. He did do his job. But then as time went on, it's almost like he didn't care anymore, or he got sloppy, or that stuff has been lost. You're not really sure where those files are, or those reports, or those tests. There's a lot of holes that are just kind of lingering. And as you glance up, you see Maldonado, and he's like carrying a jacket. He has like a loose tie. His shirt's unbuttoned. He's got like a white button down. He runs his hands through his hair. He looks a little tired, but he's standing outside of Choi's office talking to Choi and these three men. And
Wasn't he in cuffs in the interview room not 10 minutes ago?
he was, yeah. And as you watch, he reaches over and he shakes Choi's hand. And he says something. Actually, go ahead and do. Let's see if you can catch what they say. Do another wits or intelligence and awareness.
Right.
Actually, I'll give you a choice. If you want to try and figure out what they're saying by like reading their lips or something like that, do that. Or if you want to get an insight into what they're doing, then do wits and insight. Just tell me which one you want.
All right. I think I'm gonna roll my. Did you say wits and insight or wits and awareness?
Correct.
Okay. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I'll roll one more. 5, and that actually includes a pair of 10s
Nice.
for my
Vertical.
wits and insight roll together.
So they're all very relaxed. You get the feeling like Maldonado just told a joke and Choi just kind of like laughs at it, kind of like behind her hand, like, oh, that was funny. And the three lawyers are just deadpan. As Maldonado reaches up to shake the guy in front, like the lawyer closest to him, he does shake his hand, but there's very little like emotion to it. And then Choi like puts her hand on his shoulder and is kind of like, it looks like she's telling him to have a good day or something. And he nods to her and he starts walking off, and the three lawyers are walking with them. And as they walk down that aisle leading back to the elevator, none of the lawyers even pay you any mind, but Maldonado locks eyes with you and he just smiles.
This is a little much. I think that it, like, Billy stands up at his desk and maybe steps out into the aisle. Like, where do you think you're going? I'm not done with you.
Oh, you're done. You're done, all right. I hope you have a nice trip, wherever it is you're gonna go. And from back down that aisle, you hear Choi. Gray, get your ass in my office.
Gray heads towards Choi's office.
You hear the elevator open, and Maldonado kind of chuckles, and then the door closes shut. At her door, she's waiting for you, this stormy expression on her face. Have a seat.
Gray sits.
As you sit, you look around the office, and your eyes pick up pretty plainly on the top of her desk are several folders. These folders are, whereas you're using like manila folders and, you know, just kind of like cheap Staples stationery and stuff like that. Like these folders are, they almost look like I can't think of what that paper. It's like a really fine paper that kind of feels velvety, and there's this kind of smooth gray, and they have Deacon and Associates printed on the main part of the folder themselves. But you notice that your name is on several of these.
My
She
name,
sits down. Yeah, your
Billy
name.
Gray.
Yeah. And she walks around, doesn't sit down. She kind of like kicks her chair out of the way. She puts her hands both palm down on the desk, and she's just looking down at the folders and the paper that's spread out before her. You know, I really thought you were going to be an asset to this, but apparently you just felt that you needed to take your little vendetta out on Detective Maldonado, and it's just not going to fly. Do you have anything to say for yourself?
With all due respect, I'm not a signed device. I'm not out there looking for weed pushers. IAD looks for rotten cops.
Well, have you bothered to turn the mirror on yourself? And she starts like flipping through papers. Well, let's not dive into all this right now. We can do it after your time off.
Time off.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But let's go back to your evidence that you collected last night. And she reaches down, flips open a laptop, types in some stuff, and on a screen behind her, a video that looks very familiar shows up. And you can see Maldonado's car as you're kind of holding your phone over the edge of this building recording, and you see Maldonado kneeled next to this person. There are several evidence markers around the body on the wall. There is some blood trackers that are essentially like showing spray patterns and stuff. There's one of his lackeys is taking photos.
That's not what I remember at all, is it?
Are you asking me?
I could have sworn that I videotaped him, like, using his boot to try to fold this guy into a trunk while he was laughing it up with his cronies. I don't remember, like, a proper crime scene.
Oh, well, let's go ahead and fast forward. And she like pushes a button, and it fast forwards through what looks like a very intense and well done crime scene investigation. And then an ambulance arrives, and they put the body on a stretcher. They put the stretcher into the ambulance. There is a bit of like discussion that goes on between everyone, and then there's like some handshaking, and they all go their separate ways after cleaning up. Oh, and here let's take a look at your photos. And she puts down the photos where you'd zoomed in to take photos of Maldonado, like essentially stomping this guy into this his car's trunk, and instead you see him wearing, latex gloves, dusting for prints, doing the things that detectives do.
When I was gathering this evidence, was I using just a smartphone to do
What were
that?
you
Do I
using?
have that with me?
What do you think you'd be using?
Um, I mean, I gotta imagine that yeah, I would be using a smartphone, probably like a department provided
Okay. Yeah, so
smartphone.
the camera itself, so you're kind of taking pictures with like a zoom lens and all that. So the photos were done with the camera, but the video, I can't really see them like any
Right.
other way that you would have done it. So yeah, you pull out your phone.
Would you excuse me for just a moment? And I want to pull open my phone, go through the photo roll. Am I losing it? Do I still have these videos, these photos on the phone in my pocket?
So as you open it, you see the gallery of images, and you can see the thumbnails for the videos that you took. There weren't many videos because you just kind of recorded as you went, but you tried to move every so often and get a better angle or whatever. And so maybe there's a couple, and so they are there. What do you want to do?
Pick the first one. Does it play out like I'm remembering, or does it play out like what um, Assistant Commander Choi has on the big screen?
As you push the icon, the thumbnail, it brings up, like, it goes to open the video, and it just has like the sideways triangle with like a line through it, and it says file cannot load.
I'll try the second one.
Same thing, even though it starts there, you can see the thumbnail there. You click it, and it opens up, and it says file cannot load. When you're done wasting my time, you are on unpaid suspension while we go look into this. Apparently, you have been stalking Mr. Maldonado, Detective Maldonado, for quite some time.
Under the basis of a sanctioned investigation with IAD. You can't do this to me.
I I would say you've done this to yourself.
I don't think the union's going to see it the same way.
I think that's probably your best bet. As you are heading out, you should make sure you call your union rep, because you're going to need some kind of representation. Mr. Maldonado would like to. He's thinking about bringing charges against you, so you're going to need the representation.
This is unbelievable.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
Assistant Commander Choi, do you have anything else for me?
If you can make sure that you check in your gun and your badge while this investigation's going on. They'll take it out at the check-in desk. And you can tell she can't remember that guy's name yet either.
I think just Billy is somewhere between enraged, defeated, and just thoroughly confused. Like, he knows what he saw, but uh, it's as if the whole world is conspiring around him. It's like some of the freaking conspiracy loonies that he's, you know, oh, they're gang stalking me, but he never thought it would be him. I think at this point, he's just gonna do what the assistant commander said, right? Turn in his gear and see if he can make any sense of this, as he's driving home.
Okay. As you are prepping to leave, she does, like, you head out the door from her office, and then you hear her pull the blinds up. And then she goes over the desk. You kind of glance back. She's standing at the desk and just like staring down at it, and you can tell she's angry. Don't even need to roll for that one. And she starts like collecting the files that have been delivered to her, and she glares at you. You go back to your desk. There's not a lot here. You've been here for a little bit of time, but like you haven't really quite made this space your space yet. So you kind of collect a couple of things. What are those things that you make sure to take with you?
I think he's trying to pick the deliberately utilitarian things. I think he has a couple just small little trinkets, pieces of art made out of reclaimed electronics, or like a little uh, uh, like a little portrait or something like that. He wants to leave those at the desk because he wants to believe that he's coming back, right?
Nice.
Um, so I think he's picking up, his chapstick, right, or his watch, or something like that. Uh, Maybe he has a third of a cup of coffee from this morning that he's going to choke down on the drive home. I think that's what he's scooping up.
Gotcha. So do you have like a coffee thermos type mug, or are you just like carrying like the ceramic mug out?
Yeah, I think a thermos. Yeah.
Okay. So you kind of gather your things. You take a few minutes. Every so often you do catch people looking at you. There's definitely not necessarily an understanding of what the specifics are, but something obviously has happened. And so every so often you'll see other detectives glancing at you as you look around. And you go over, and the fellow at the desk is just waiting for you. And he has some paperwork for you to sign as far as relinquishing your firearm, your badge. They're not like final papers, but they're like, there's this strange sense of finality that settles into your gut as you're looking at them.
I think Billy he's just not just like angry, but humiliated, right? The tables have turned on him so completely. That I think he's sort of just trying to choke back that feeling and get through this last rote task so that he can get out to his car where there won't be quite so many eyes on him.
Okay. So there's the ding of the elevator, as you call it. Takes a few moments to come up. The doors open. No one's inside, but there's this lingering chill as you step into it. That you, at first, it actually kind of feels nice. The air conditioning's been having a hard time keeping up with the heat wave, and you step into it. But then, as the doors shut, and you're watching, and the guy at the desk just kind of stares at you until the door shuts. Once you're enclosed, you realize there's a smell that's lingering in here too. It's not just the cold. And it's not pleasant. It's kind of like a weird chemical, but almost rot. And it's just like tickling your nose, bugging you. And then the door opens and this heat just washes in as you see the garage beyond. Now, because you drove your own vehicle, there's a separate parking lot for that. These are like the vehicles that you check out, that you would essentially sign out from the police department. And so you start heading up a ramp that goes off to the outside, and across the way you can see your car just baking in the sunlight as the afternoon is starting to, really get on. So it's probably 4:35. You didn't really check the time, but looking around, you're kind of you're guessing that the sun will be down in a few hours, and hopefully the heat will calm down, and you're just your brain's trying to wrap around all of this. And you notice those two guys that were with Maldonado last night are walking on the other side of the fence on the far side of the parking lot. And they are obviously looking at you. And one of them leans over and says something to the other, and they laugh, and you could hear the laugh. You couldn't hear what they were saying. It's quite a ways away, but they're laughing loud on purpose so that you can hear them. What do you do?
I think that Billy just takes a moment to look at them, in detail, right? So that you could recognize their face. He could recognize if somebody asked what shoes were they wearing, right? He would know the answer to that because he took a moment to take in that detail, right? If somebody asked, did they have buttons or cufflinks, right? He just really wants to take this image in and then get in his car and start driving.
Okay. So you stare at them, not in a way to be intimidating or anything like that, but to just absorb. And you notice that they're wearing their button downs, their ties are loose, they've got their jackets thrown over their shoulder. One's wearing these dark blue khakis, the other has kind of more that kind of burnt brown color. Both are wearing black shoes, leather. And the shoes kind of get you for a moment because those definitely aren't regulation. And there's a moment where you're quite a ways away. But whether it's wisdom that you've carried with you or whatever, there's just something about people's shoes that you've always paid attention to, and these shoes are way too expensive for that their outfit. Like it's like they're wearing a costume for the world to see them as detectives, but they just had to do something to say I have more than this. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And you don't know why that just pisses you off. And you're just strutting through the parking lot heading towards your car, and it's about halfway across that you realize that the rubber of your tires is just puddled on every tire. Like all of your tires are flat.
Oh my god. Is it like it can't be a coincidence. Like is anybody else's tires flat?
You look around, you don't see anyone else's.
It's not like it's so hot that like literally all the rubber in the
Right.
parking lot.
Yeah, maybe that's like the first thing that goes through your head, but then you look around and no, it's because you could believe it. It is that hot out. But either your tires were just that cheap and they're the only ones who suffered the heat and melted, or somebody slashed your tires.
Oh my god. This is just the last thing that I need. Um I'm gonna get AAA on the horn and maybe just like crouch down and just take a look, see what I can see while the phone's ringing.
Okay. Um, you go to dial, and it comes back that your phone doesn't have service.
Do I have bars?
The phone is showing bars, but it looks like you know how like it'll have like the little Verizon or AT&T or whatever. It says it's just no service.
Okay. Let me switch it to airplane mode and back on. Maybe that'll reset the radio.
Okay. Yeah, as you take a moment, there's sweat starting to like pour down your face as you're like trying to mess with your phone, and it seems like this phone has had its service canceled.
Oh my god. I don't even have like a personal cell phone on me. This is a disaster. Um I think at like at this point the heat of the parking lot just like really hits him all at once, right? Getting out there, it was like, um, oh, I only need to get through the parking lot and into my car, and I'll blast the AC, and it'll be okay, right? And then it's like, oh shit, like I'm not actually going to be able to drive, but like even if the tires are flat, I can still like run my AC, right? And maybe he still can, right? Like he's still standing next to his car, but the walls feel like they're closing in on him suddenly, and just the sweat, is just now, like under his collar. Just it feels oppressive, and he probably is gonna just step into his ride and turn on the AC because it's this. It's getting hard to think. It's like there's a ringing in his ears. Just the blood sort of pounding as he nothing is going right, everything is wrong. um
Yes, you get in. It's a repainted Ford Crown Vic that was once a cop car that you bought off of its, after they retired it. It's definitely seen miles, but the AC works, and you push a key in, you turn it, car turns over, starts up, takes a few minutes, But as you're sitting in the sweltering heat inside the car, you start to roll up your window as the AC is pushing that cold air through. A little bit of clarity starts reforming in your mind. It's easier to think. There's not as much nausea. And you're not sure if it was the heat or the anger or the frustration. But it's there, but it doesn't seem as overpowering.
This is better. And I think sort of as some of the panic and bile begins to subside, Billy finds himself sort of fighting two thoughts at the same time. Like, one thought is, I really need to like get a hold of a mentor within IA to help me navigate this, because somehow this went incredibly wrong, and I thought that I could do this on my own, this case, and I don't think that anymore. And the other thought is like, buddy, you're sitting in a car that can't drive with a cell phone that can't be a cell phone. Maybe like getting home and not getting heat stroke is the priority. So,
Which little column A, little column B, or
yeah. So I think I don't know. Is there like a like actual taxis, like not just Ubers and Lyfts, but
yeah, there's taxi services.
taxi services? I think he's gonna actually like try to splurge on a taxi. Just leave his car in the parking lot for now. That's gonna be a problem for future Billy. But current Billy really wants to get home.
Now, Billy. Yeah, you've actually noticed that. So IA is in the World Trade Building in LA, and it's pretty. Even though the building is older, it's frequented enough that you're pretty sure you can get a cab. You just got to walk around to the front. So you get out, lock it, shut the door, start heading back through. Down, you go down the ramp that heads back to the elevator. You know, the easiest way to get there is to go back up to the lobby and go out the front door. But as the elevator opens, that smell rolls out again. You could also go to the gate that's over there and walk around the building. The thought crosses your mind, but what do you choose to do?
I think in this moment I'm gonna go with that instinct.
Okay.
Instead of getting back in the elevator.
Sorry. Treat redeemed. So as the door closes, because it doesn't sense anyone, there's just a slight lingering of the smell, a little bit of the cold, and you're not sure at this point if it's the AC from the building or that weird sense that kind of was sticking to the elevator. And then it's gone, and you turn and you head down towards the gate. You step back into the sunshine. It's actually starting to get blocked by the high rises, so there's starting to be shadows that you can walk in, and you make it to the front of the building itself, the World Trade building. You actually see several people flagging cabs, other people getting out of cabs. So there's this just kind of this organized chaos of humans moving around, taking the cabs that were offered, others waiting for more to arrive. and you manage to hail one. Do you want them to take you home?
Billy nearly says mission, but he doesn't.
Okay.
He thinks better of it and directs them back to the apartment that he shares with his roommate.
Okay. So you don't make a lot of money as a junior detective. Not yet. You're hoping, or you were hoping, that you'd be able to afford a place of your own in the near future. But right now, you live in kind of a small, really it should be a one person apartment, like it's that size, but it has like 2 rooms that are just large enough to be considered rooms and not broom closets. And as you get out, you've noticed that time has passed since you got in the taxi, and you were paying attention. You were watching as things went by. Maybe every so often you were checking your phone to maybe the service came back. Maybe this is all a mistake. You look to see if there's a call from Captain Choi to see if she called you to be like, oh, we found that evidence. But no, there's no messages, no service. And as you step out of the taxi, the sun has gone down enough that it's thrown deep shadows over everything. It's not pleasant, but it is cooler than it was. And you look up at the building that you were in. The entrance that you used to get in is down this alley, or you can go in the front door, which is just a little more work, but you're not really sure if you're like, there's going to be questions that, sorry, I forgot his name. Actually, I should have asked you how to pronounce your roommate's name.
Oh, Dieter.
Dieter. So,
Yes.
you're pretty sure
Dieter
you're
Brown.
home. What's that?
Dieter Brown.
Okay. So you're pretty sure Dieter is awake at this point. He's probably working out, and like he has his set schedule, and he'll then like grab his shower and then head in for his night shift down at the hospital. And you're not really sure what to say to him. Like, there's just that facing this person that you live with, that you're friends with, maybe? What is your relationship with Dieter?
We usually sort of don't see us or each other that much
Yeah.
because it's like, I'm winding down when he's winding up and vice versa, right? Which is really good when you're in like a too small space because we're not in it like at the same time,
Right.
except when we are. And like right now, like I think a lot of the time we have, pretty pleasant relationship with each other. We don't like do a lot of things together because again, like night shift, day shift, that kind of thing. But we get along. It's surprising how well you can not get on each other's nerves when you're crammed in like sardines trying to deal with the LA freaking cost of living. And like regardless, like I need to talk to like to another human that's not like staring and laughing at me like right now, just to tell him how freaking weird my day has been.
Okay.
So I'm really hoping that I'm going to run into him.
Okay. So with that in mind, you'll probably take the faster route. There's like an elevator entrance essentially to the building that you live in. That's down the alley. Like you go in through a side entrance and go to the back elevator. You live on that side of the building, and wanting to get up there before he leaves, you head that direction. There's the smell of, you know, hot urine and weird things and trash that have been broiling in the sun all day, and it's just not the best smell. But you head that way and you notice that there's a cat that is kind of lingering by this guy that you see every so often in the alley, as he tries to like kind of take shelter from the sun. He's like a transient that just doesn't seem to have like a place that he stays. He kind of moves around, and he's kind of leaned up against the wall. You've actually seen him out on some of the main roads with like a little hat out that he takes donations in and stuff. But he just seems to be sitting up against the wall, and the cat walks over to him and kind of like sniffs him and then hisses at him and like kind of backs away and then lets out a like a and just bolts.
Okay, I'm not okay with that, because if a cat doesn't like you, then I'm not sure I like you either.
And you've seen like other cats that he's like interacted with. You've actually seen him share his food with cats and dogs. So this was weird.
Is he moving? Is he doing anything? What's this guy look like?
Looks like he has like one leg. He's kind of pushed up against the wall. He has one leg out in front of him. The other one is pulled in, like his knee is up. You can see his hand moving as maybe he's moving like the laces on that shoe or something, fiddling. And you're not really sure why, but that smell or something like it that you smelled in the elevator earlier seems to be in this alley.
I think does he have his hat out still?
It's actually on his head.
I think Dieter or Billy will he'll dig out his wallet and he'll grab a single, and he'll go to, sort of hand it or drop it to the guy, just start to say, man, you would not believe how weird this day has been for me.
As his hands stop messing around on his shoe, a couple of things come to mind. Again, there's that shoe thing. And you realize he's not wearing like the kind of raggedy shoes he usually wears. Like, he's wearing these nice boots. They're kind of like combat boots. It looks like he was kind of messing with one of the buckles on it. And you notice that his fingernails are painted. They're a little long, which you're not necessarily not expecting, but they're painted and well taken care of. And just inside the coat that he's wearing is like a spiked bracelet. And as he reaches up to take the dollar from you, you see it. And you hear a voice that is not this guy's voice, but kind of a growl that says, "Oh, things are about to get a lot weirder." And he tilts his head up at you. And in the fading light, you can hear the tinkling of one of the street lights in the alley starting to try and turn itself on. You swear whoever this is, and it's not the person you thought it would be, you swear their eyes glow slightly. And they smile at you. And they have these enormous fangs. Their incisors are ridiculous. They shouldn't even be able to speak with how large they are. And then it begins to move at you. What do you do?
Billy steps back, just the fuck you say? And his hand moves to his holster, which is empty. I think he takes another step back and he looks down the path to the alley that he came in, and he thinks about the taxi, which is leaving or gone. He does some swift mental math and doesn't like the answer that he comes up with, and I think he just makes a break for the entrance to the building.
Okay. Why don't you let's do a I want to call it dexterity. What's going to work best for this? Let's do dexterity athletics as you are trying to book it away from this person. And I say dexterity instead of strength or stamina because it is a matter of trying to stay out of their reach as well.
And just as a question, because I'm not super familiar with the hunter system, do I have any options to press myself harder, in like a desperate situation or anything like that at my disposal, or is this sort of a straight roll?
All right, so if you spend some hope and no, wait, wrong. We play too many games on this channel, I have to say.
Right.
So I will say, so I can't remember off the top of my head, and I should know this. What you do have, however, are the 17 advantages that were donated by the amazing viewers. Thank you so much. So one, you can use them either to get rid of botches. So if you do roll a botch, you can get rid of the botch. Or you can roll at advantage. So you would roll your dice, twice.
Gotcha. I think this would be a wonderful place to burn one of those advantages.
Sure.
Thank you, by the way, for our lovely viewers. Maybe we can keep Billy alive this evening.
Right.
All right. And even with that, I am only seeing one success.
Oh, wow. So a lot of it is you desperately want to get going and you start heading that way, but you've never seen anything move this fast. Nothing that's normal, nothing that's human moves this fast. And there's the sound of ripping as a couple of the buttons on your button down pop because this clawed, taloned hand has grabbed your shirt as you try to run, and you start to stumble and it rips the buttons off, and you kind of spin around as this person stands up and lunges for you. He's going to take a swipe at you. Dooby 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 doo. I have too many things open that I can't find the one I need. So, as it takes a swipe at you, you're going to mark off 2 health as you feel your skin torn, not sliced, but jaggedly torn by its nails, and there's this like burning sensation, like there was grit underneath its nails. And then you're stumbling on. What do you do?
I think we're in at the moment sort of like a blind fight or flight, and we're definitely doing the flight mode. So, really just pushing myself harder as recklessly. I need to break contact
Okay.
with this guy, whether it means scrambling up a fire escape or going through a freaking window. I need to be inside with other people and not in the alley with this person and or thing.
So you look over, and the buildings next to you has one of those fire escapes that has the pull down, and it's maybe 20 feet down the hall or down the alley from you. Your buildings is closer, but it also means that you're staying closer to this thing. Which one do you want to go through?
Um, is this a case where I could use my streetwise, because this is my house and my turf, and I, in theory, know this way
Sure, I
place
like
really
that.
well to make a decision on the sort of the right path to take?
Yeah, why don't you do a I kind of want you to do streetwise composure as
All
you
right.
were trying to stay with it long enough to
Four
figure this out.
successes on that one.
Nice. Even though this thing is fast, it is likely that you can get up to yours faster, and you've jumped up to it before. You know, it's much easier to like jump up and grab it and pull yourself up, even before the ladder starts descending, than it is to. You feel like if you try to go for that far one, it's gonna get you. It's gonna be on you.
I'm gonna go with my instinct again.
Nice. So you go over and you jump up and you snag it, and you feel this tug on your pants, and your shoe comes off. There's a slight ripping noise, and you look down, and your shoe's gone, and part of your pant leg has been just shorn off. And this thing is looking up at you. Its mouth is just hanging open wide. The fangs are all you can see for a moment because they're just so weird. They're so unhuman. It's almost like this thing is wearing a mask, but the mask is moving, and its tongue keeps coming out and like licking its lips, and it looks at you like you are dinner. And it just gives you an extra oomph to like pull yourself up, and then you hear the rattling of the ladder as it comes back up behind you. You got up the ladder before it even fully extended. What do you do?
I think I'm just well, I think just out of pure impulse, Billy pulls the disconnected, worthless cell phone out of his pocket and just hurls it at the thing's head.
Nice.
And then makes a break for it.
I mean, we should roll that 100%. Let's do strength brawl. I don't want to call it firearms.
What, you're not going to say I'm proficient in throwing smartphones at people? All right, let's do this roll. A single success, but also a 1.
Okay. You throw the phone, it does bounce off like its shoulder and then clatters to the ground. It tilts its head at you for a moment, like, really? And then it just smiles and its mouth gets longer and wider. And you notice hair is starting to kind of sprout from it. And it bunches itself down like it's getting ready to jump. What do you do?
I need to be inside right now. So I'm going to go whatever direction does that.
Okay, so you look, this first area doesn't have a window, but you look up and there is a window that's closed. The next staircase up, you begin running. Okay, so you begin running up the stairs. Why don't we do let's do a stamina. I want to do stamina strength. It's not really a thing you can do, or you should do, but we're going to do it anyway. Do stamina strength. Making it up as we go.
All right. 2 successes.
Nice. As you hit the stairs running, there's the sound of your one shoe clanking off the metal as your other sock just kind of snags every so often. The little, like, kind of rough, those little diamond cutouts that are the, like, metal steps, and they just kind of like catching on your sock, and it keeps like trying to rip your sock off, but you're just running up this, right?
Ouch, fuck, ouch.
You manage to make it up to this next floor. You look at the window. It is definitely closed. There are some like white curtains. They're probably blackout curtains that are colored on the inside but white on the outside because you can't see through them. And there's like some little knickknacks sitting in the window. There's like a little there's a Charizard like sitting there, and like a couple little Pokeballs. Or you can continue up. What do you do?
I think I'm gonna put my elbow right through that window, and then the rest of me.
Okay. You smash through the window, and it's not even like you smash it and then clear out the glass and whatever. You like use your momentum to go through the window, but we're gonna do a check to see if you do so without hurting yourself. Why don't we do dexterity, athletics?
Right. This is not Billy's strong point.
Or
but
awareness.
he did
I'll
get
give you
2
awareness.
successes here.
Okay. With the 2 successes, you do feel as some of the glass shards gouge you, but they're just surface scratches. You hit the floor on the other side. It's carpeted, which is unlike your room. You just have like that laminate, and so it actually kind of like stops you from sliding. You look around. There's a set of bunk beds, and on the lowest bunk bed is a large Pokemon. I almost just said Pokemon. I don't know where that came from. There's a Pokemon like comforter spread over it, and there's like several stuffed Pokemon around the room. It looks like kids stay here, but they are definitely not in the room. What do you do?
I want to get to the interior hallway. So
Okay.
I don't know this apartment or where I am, but how many different layouts can there really be?
Right.
2 or 3. I've at most I've lived in this place for a while, so we are not knocking. We are not asking politely. We are also banking on. I'm on the inside, so I should be able to open stuff from the inside. but I want to get to that interior hallway as fast as I can.
Gotcha. Yeah, so you rush to the door, and as you get to the door, you can hear the clanging of something on the stairs behind you, on the fire escape. Something is climbing up behind you. You hit the door, you pull it open. The inside is pretty dark. There's some filtered sunlight pouring in down the hallway, but the hallway that you're standing in is short, fairly dark, and you can kind of hear what? Who is that coming from the doorway that's across from you?
On the other side of the hall.
Yeah. It looks like
Am
the
I
hallway.
on the same like floor as my own apartment, or is that above or below me?
You are you live higher than this. So this is technically the second floor. What floor do you think you live on?
I think I live on the 4th floor.
Okay. Um while this isn't the floor plan that you live in, you've been in other rooms, like every so often people in the building will have parties and theaters made you go to them and be social with them and stuff. And so you you know this, like as soon as you hit it, and looking down the hall, you can see that there is what is going to open up into like a living room / dining room. And there's like a kind of a connected kitchen, and there's going to be a door that's just right beyond that. That'll lead to where you want to go.
I think I'm going to go straight for that door. I think as he's like trying to rush through the kitchen, I think his eyes sort of linger on likely implements of cutting or stabbing for just a moment. But he thinks better of it. The blood from the gash that he received earlier, it's not so much that he feels the pain, but like he feels the trickling wetness of that blood like leaking further down his body and beginning to like stick to himself, and that sort of reminder of his own mortality, and that he is not doing well in this encounter so far. We're still fleeing, not fighting.
Okay. You get to the front door, you see that they've added a chain. Like yours has the handle itself locks, there's a deadbolt, and there's a chain on this one that you don't have in your apartment. As fast as you can fumble to unlock these, you can hear smashing noises behind you that your brain registers, but you're trying to not worry about them as you open the door. And in the hallway is this kind of old yellow light from like bulbs that probably should have been replaced years ago that are still just kind of barely hanging on. These fluorescents that are twinkling just barely out there, but the hallway is clear as something slams into you from behind and smashes you into the wall. You're going to take 1 health.
Ouch.
You feel cracking. You don't know if it's broken, but something cracked in your ribs.
And Billy is not a incredibly stoutly built guy, so if I'm reading the rules on health correctly, I'm down to like 1 or 2 health remaining. And that's just reaffirming just I'm not doing a great job of running away from this guy, but I'm gonna keep trying because he is strong and hairy and fast, and I want none of that.
Fair enough. As you rebound off the wall slightly, the pressure releases just enough that you can start moving again. Are you going to run for the stairwell, the elevator, another door?
I think we're going right for the stairwell.
Okay. You look down the hallway. It's no matter how close it is, it's an unfortunate distance away in your mind. And you start running. There's this stabbing sensation in your side as you do. There's definitely something loose poking into your ribs. And you begin hobbling that direction. Behind you, you hear, "What the fuck? Who the hell are... What did you do to my door? Why are you in my kids' room? What the fuck is going on?" And then you hear something smashing. Do you keep running?
Yeah, and I think this whole suddenly, like, the need for language returns to Billy. But like, what's he gonna say? Like, LAPD, open up, like, or he thinks about calling out to like his roommate or for help, but like none of that seems to make any sense. He's still like and so as he's running, all that he can just get out now that language has come back to him is just fuck, 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 just a stream of expletives and nothing else.
As you get to the end of the hall where the stairwell is, you hear a door open just as you're passing it, and you see this like elderly lady. Her eyes kind of flash open, and then she slams the door as you barrel into the metal door that's beyond. You hit it, and then you realize it's pull. You got to open it from this. You pull it towards you, so you fumble with the door handle. You push it down. You pull it open. You get to the other side, and you kind of grab that. It's one of those bars. You kind of grab it, and you pull as you're running that direction, and you hear this like pounding noise on something like heavy on concrete moving towards the door rapidly. Are you going up or down?
Is there I don't want to take more than half a second on this, but is there any way that I can see to bar the door, a key that I could turn and break off, a broom that I could put through a handle,
Right.
anything like that?
So you know that there's like a special key that this needs to, like, you've had to deal with them as in your police work. You don't have one, and unless someone just left it laying around, it wouldn't be here. So you don't see anything, and it's really hard to like bar these doors. So no, not really.
We're just gonna run up the stairs.
Okay. As you hit the stairs running, your foot slips slightly. Your shoeless sock foot slipping on the kind of smooth painted cement stair. There's garbage. Like, it's not a well-maintained building. It's not terrible, but you know that squatters sometimes will get in here and they'll sleep in the stairwells and all that. So you see, you know, some garbage and empty beer cans, empty alcohol bottles, cigarette butts. Just these things are like filling your vision as you're running. You're just picking up like these strange details as this fear is just causing your adrenaline to kick into overdrive. You are up to the third floor when you hear the door open.
I think a single image of like a crumpled up bag of like Doritos nacho cheese just sticks in his mind. And as Billy turns and starts running in what feels like slow motion up to the fourth floor, he's just struck by like the incongruous thought that Cool Ranch is the clearly superior Doritos flavor. And it just, the idea that that might be one of his final thoughts, uh, it just it 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 uh it makes him like angry because but it's also funny. It's so ridiculous. So he just
Please
almost
don't
like
let this be my
stifling
last
this
thought.
hysterical laugh as he's trying to make it up to the fourth floor.
Nice. Excuse me. As you turn to go up the next set of stairs, there's, because it is kind of you that you're going up. You start heading up and you look down and you see these glowing eyes, this fanged face as it looks up just that small well in between the stairs, and it smiles at you, and you see it reach out and it starts climbing through that space rather than going up the stairs, and then it's gone from your vision. You didn't wait. You don't want to see what's going on. You're not waiting for it. You just keep running. You hit that second turn and you can see up this next flight of stairs is the door to the fourth floor. Keep going.
Keep going. And like, two things come into Billy's mind. One, like, this is the home stretch. Like, a little bit further down is the door to his apartment. That's the finish line, right? If he can get through there, he'll be home. But the other thing on his mind is like, then what, dumbass?
Nice.
And so he's running for it. But like, as he's doing it, like, it occurs to him, like, he does need help. It's not enough just to make it to the fourth floor to his door. And so just the first thing he can do is he's just starting to yell out, Dieter, open the door, Dieter. Just as he's running down, trying to scream and summon his roommate.
Nice. I'm going to have you do a strength athletics or stamina athletics. I'll let you choose.
All right.
Also remember, you have advantages that you can use.
All right. I will burn an advantage.
Okay.
And with that, I actually got some pretty good rolls. I got 3 successes on 3 dice.
Okay. So you hit the door and it pushes out, and you realize that's the only thing that saved you. That the fact that you didn't have to stop to open the door towards you, as this presence looms up behind you and you can feel it pushing the air. It's going so fast. The door itself kind of shoots open even faster because of the force of this thing's movement as you step through, and it hits the door just on the edge of your vision. The door screeches, this rending of metal as it tears the metal hinges off, and you see the door just kind of linger in the air for a moment, and then you realize it's actually flying sideways, and it smashes and is like kind of bounces off the ground up onto the wall on the other side, away from the direction you were heading. You're shouting for Dieter. You're not sure if he's left for work yet. You've definitely made a commotion. You can hear people, but you're not sure where they are. What do you do?
So I've gotten out of the stairwell and I'm sort of looking down the hallway of the 4th floor, right?
Correct.
I think I'm running towards the door of my apartment, screaming my bloody head off.
Okay.
And it occurs to me, like, oh, the revolver in the nightstand and the shotgun in the case. If I can get in there, maybe that's a chance.
As you are running, there is a sensation of time slowing down. You're pumping as hard as you can, your legs pistoning away beneath you, your heart's hammering, but the adrenaline is just so spiked right now that everything is so in focus and so clear that you hear the lock slide in your door, and then the deadbolt slides, and then that lower handle unlocks, and your eyes are just wide and sweat's pouring down you, and there's this distant pain in your chest that you know you should probably get checked later, but right now it doesn't matter. And you see sunlight, very faint, very filtered, but it pours in through the door as it opens up. You're up just high enough that the shadows haven't really filled this area of your building yet. As Dieter opens the door, he's got his towel slung over his shoulders. It's obvious he just finished his workout. He's running a little late, you think. He's probably going to be late to work, actually. And he's kind of mopping his face as he looks out, confused, worried, and his eyes go wide as he sees you. You're not really sure what it is that he's looking at. You are pretty sure you look like a wreck. And then you kind of barrel into him. And there's the sound of wood cracking, the door slamming into, you know, right behind the door is like the entertainment center. And you can hear the wood cracking in the door as you hit Dieter. Dieter hits the door. The two of you bounce off of it. And you come to rest in your living room / dining room / kitchen. Dieter's like, what the hell is going on?
I think take just a moment, barely more than one, but just a moment to look at Dieter and see like the first human in probably the last 3 or 4 hours who has not just treated me with weirdness or hostility or violence, and just there's just a moment of hope that like, okay, like maybe with my friend, like I can make it through like the night. But then he thinks about the what he was thinking about in the hall, right? The revolver in the nightstand and the shotgun that's locked in the gun case. And I think he just says, Dieter, the case, get it from the case. And like maybe motioning like to the bloodied gashes on himself while Billy himself like scampers off to his bedroom to try to retrieve his personal firearm.
Gotcha. So as you've kind of landed on top of Dieter, there's a moment where you are shouting in his face and he just looks completely lost as to what you're saying. Calm down, Billy. It's okay. Everything's going to be fine. What the hell is that? And then there's a few things hit you at the same time. One, Dieter, who was just slightly closer to the door than you were, begins to slide very quickly towards the door. But you also, it smells like someone lit a match. And you're really not sure why. Where does your attention go?
To Dieter. I think I still want that gun, right? I want it so badly. I can feel it in my hand, but I don't have it. But Dieter's not going the right direction. That's not where the case is. And I think I just instinctively like grab him and try to pull him back towards me and the window, the light, the fire escape, right? Like I can't just leave him.
Why do we call it a strength athletics?
And that is 2 successes
Okay.
and one of yeah.
So there's this strange sensation of falling, even though you're on the ground, as you reach back and you grab Dieter's hand, like his forearm, but then it slides quickly. He's sweaty and it slips, and you manage to grab hold of his hand. But as you do so, the power that's pulling him, the strength of whatever it is that grabbed him, is so much that it pulls you along with it, and it kind of whips you up from the floor. Like you leave the ground for a moment, and as you're in midair, you look behind and you see this person that isn't the homeless guy that you thought it was. Where is that homeless guy? Because whatever that is wearing its clothes, or his clothes. What was
Except
that
for the
guy's?
shoes.
What's that?
Except for the shoes.
Except for the shoes. Dude, what was his name? I mean, like, all these things kind of run through your head. There's like certain thoughts that you can analyze later and realize it's like your detective instincts. It's like the things you've trained for that have just like kind of been kicking in. And as you're in the air, you see your hand slip and you lose hold of Dieter as Dieter gets tossed like into the kitchen by this thing that shouldn't have been able to do that. It's not much bigger than you are, and it tossed Dieter like a rag doll, but it's smoking, and there's little bits of fire starting to catch on its clothes, and it, right as you like go to hit the ground again, you notice its eyes start to look worried for a second. Like there's a split moment where it's staring at you, and then it kind of glitches, like it's in pain or something. And then there's this oomph, time returns to its normal progression, and Dieter is hitting the floor in the kitchen. You can hear plates shattering that were on the counter. And that sulfur smell grows. What do you do?
How does it smell in comparison to the strange smell that I noticed earlier twice in the elevator?
Whereas that was this kind of weird rot, this is much more like a sulfuric, like a match head catching. But there's this weird like, you've smelt burnt hair before, and there's a lingering scent of that as well. It's similar, but not quite.
I think as fun as it would be just to take in the Ode a Burning Monster, I think Billy's instinct is, well, aside from the detective part of his brain, which apparently is intrusive and cannot be turned off, is just getting his feet underneath him, probably like scrambling, with his back to his kitchen cabinets, trying to get back onto his feet, figure out where he is, right? Is there a space that he can move to or dodge to? but just trying to take a moment to partially size up the situation. Is the monster coming after me? Is it coming after Dieter? But well, it's hurt. Something made it hesitate. Something made it burn. Can I see what that is?
You look around the room. And this is a quick glance. So why don't we do either intelligence or wits and investigation.
Four successes.
Nice. So in a matter of just a couple of seconds, you look up, you see this thing smoldering, little bits of fire begin to spark off of it. It begins to hold its hand up, and you can see like your blood drying on its nails, little bits dripping down its hands. But under that, its flesh is starting to bubble and flake, and it begins to emit this like shrieking noise and starts like backing away from you. And you look at yourself and you look behind you, and the only thing that's there is the open window. Like, sometimes Dieter is a little bit of a exhibitionist when it comes to his workouts, and so he had the window open again, and you know that there's that one couple that lives over in the other building over there, that you're not sure if there's something going on with the three of them, but it is awfully convenient how he will time his workouts to be when they happen to have their windows open. Anyway, whatever that's about. But just over the rooftops, you can see the sun, maybe just the top arc of it is still barely visible, is still casting direct light into this room. And you can see, even as you're watching, like it just starts getting smaller and smaller.
So the sun is home now. The sun is safe. The sun is where I want to be.
How much is real estate on
and
the
shielding
sun?
and comforting, and I want to be in it. But I also sort of want to. I don't know. Is there a chance in hell of dragging or summoning Dieter to follow me, to go out through the window, out onto the fire escape, and up onto the roof where we can get just a few more seconds in that sunlight before it falls onto the horizon?
Right. So you can see Dieter's legs as they're kind of like protruding around what is like essentially like a little countertop that comes out and separates the kitchen from the rest of it. And you could see him, his legs are weakly moving. He's definitely there. He's alive. You can hear him kind of groaning as he struggles to sit up. He's not moving very fast though. And
I want to grab his hand and just try to drag.
Okay. So you like dive kind of over the countertop itself and reach down, and like you're like, Dieter, your hand. And why don't we do a strength athletics at advantage. This one's just going to be because he's helping you.
All right. That is 3 successes.
Nice. He looks confused. He's completely shell-shocked. He doesn't know what's going on, but just your commanding voice snaps him out of it enough. He glances over at this slowly growing bonfire that's starting to like move its way back into the hallway. And you pull him over, holding one another. You rush him over towards the window. You do notice that the guy that lives over there. You're not sure if they're married or just living together. Who knows? He is staring at you like, what the fuck? What do you do?
Um, I mean, he's getting a show, just maybe not the one that he thought was on. But this show is me trying to get out onto the fire escape, but not taking it back down to the ground. The ground is scary. The ground is full of shadow and piss and Doritos bags. I want to get up onto the
Nacho
roof.
cheese Doritos. Not Cool Ranch. Yeah, so you lead him that way. The windows open. There's a slight breeze kind of moving the blackout curtains that you also have in here. You do you have him go first? Do you go first?
Depends how with it he is. Like if he seems like he has figured out um maybe not the full story of what everything is happening today and the true
Right.
nature of the horrors that surround us, but fucking out, up, go.
Gotcha. He is a little shell shocked. He's moving a little slowly, a little dazed.
So then I'm probably still dragging him.
Okay. As you step through the window, you pull him through behind you. You can smell not only burning hair, burning clothing. You can see that little bits of the door that is kind of laying shattered against the entertainment center, which is kind of tipped over slightly. The TV's laying against the wall. Footsteps have melted their way into your carpet, and this thing is like just trying to put itself out as it has like now backed into the hallway is the word I needed there. Sorry. It's backed into the hallway and it just disappears as it recedes out of your line of vision. And then you are going up, pulling Dieter with you.
I think as Billy climbs, um, for just a moment he wonders, if it did come out, into the light, if it had followed us, like would it have just completely gone up and like been consumed? Like, and back in the shadow of the hallway, is it, oh shit, is it still alive? But he is not pursuing those answers right now.
Okay.
He is trying to climb up into the light and uh, convince Dieter to do the same.
So as you half run with and half drag Dieter up these stairs, some smoke begins to trail out your window. And in the distance, you hear sirens. And you're not sure if they're coming here or if they're just sirens that you hear on a regular basis because this is LA. And you hope they're coming here, but at the same time, you kind of hope they aren't because you don't know who to trust anymore.
No, but no, these are good sirens. When things are on fire, you're
That's fair.
supposed to hear sirens. Like, of all the weird and terrible shit that has happened to me today, like I'm not even thinking so much about like Lord knows how many of our possessions are going to survive, how much of a fire is down there, and the freaking synthetic carpets go up like a freaking torch compared to natural fibers. Try not to think about it too much, but the it makes sense, right? It's not two wide mouths and claws and cold dead spaces and people. It's just there's a fire and the fire department is coming. Okay, that that works. I can work with that.
Nice. And as you get to the top of the stairs and step onto the roof, and you look at the sun that is still in your line of sight, and you are still in its safety, there's this lingering scent stuck in your nose of burning hair. And as the sirens get closer, you hear shouting. Billy! We gotta go! What are you doing, Billy? And you snap out of it and you look around, and Alex is in his wheelchair and is just shouting at you from the entrance to this small employees like break area at the back of the Red Room bar. There's this thumping bass music that is coming from inside. Standing on top of the like next building over, you see Mary is scrambling down this half. It wasn't meant to be scaled. It's just this like kind of stacked up series of boxes that she had gone up earlier. And as I try to find the right button. Hi, Carly.
Hi.
I want to say hi before we go to break real quick.
Hi.
Good to see you. And we're going to take a quick break. We will be back in about 5 minutes. We will see you then.
Hi. Bye.
Welcome back, everybody. Standing outside the employees' entrance to the Red Room bar. Inside, people dancing, sweating the night away, partying. Bass music thumping away. Outside is sirens and the smell of burning hair and flesh and something. On the ground is two bodies of club goers. The semi-conscious form of Fiona, one of the bartenders, and the unconscious form of Ray, the other bartender. What are you all doing?
I feel like... Sorry, go ahead, Carly.
I was gonna say, well, I can take one of those two and go back into the bar and make excuses. I don't know that I could do it with both of them.
I feel like Billy has done a speedy exit with Alex in particular before. Jason, how have we done that in the past when we need to get the fuck out of Dodge? What's our go-to?
We need help for this guy. It's the kind of the get help for the
And then you
the
throw
injured
them at somebody?
guy in the wheelchair.
Get help! Huh.
We should. Is the body the vampire that died? I know you said it got gooey. It didn't catch fire, right?
It did not. It kind of smoldered, but it didn't end up like bursting into flames. It is currently in kind of a strange, gooey mixture of hair and pseudo flesh and clothing laying on the floor. It's still kind of bubbling, and up on the roof, Mary, you left the one who tried to get away, just kind of a smoldering ruin after the fire claimed it. And Alex, you do hear voices coming from the other end of the alley down where the third vampire had run just before you exploded it.
Okay. It's been like 6 seconds since that happened, right?
So I repeat, which one do you want me to take? Because we gotta
It's gone
go.
this way.
It's been several seconds. Like it's maybe not been quite a full minute, but
Yeah.
Him. Billy points at the one who's unresponsive, because Fiona at least has a chance of getting her wits about her and doing something, but
Great.
Ray is out of it.
I lean down and pick him up, and I like kind of drape him so he's fully on me, and I'm like holding his arm, but it looks like he's just kind of drunk.
Peter
Nice.
will roll over as you're going 1 second and takes his wallet, and we'll try to let's get the water out of this body as well. The
Get the
one
what?
that's goo.
oh,
The
you want the
wallet.
wallet from the guy who gooed?
Yeah, we might be able to track it back to others.
You actually, so you reach in there and there's not like a wallet so much as there's like a money clip that has like a bunch of cash.
Okay. Even
And
better.
yeah, and there's like some, there's actually some drugs and stuff in his pocket as well.
Okay. Take it all.
Okay.
Yeah, and I start heading like back inside the bar with the unconscious, unresponsive body of Ray.
As you head in, the music's playing, but you've noticed that people are kind of like not alerted to what's going on, but they're, some people are dancing, but some people are like talking and looking around. The party vibe is kind of dropped down a bit, and you notice that the DJ and that possum-headed guy just look confused. And then you actually see Possum Head kind of move up to the stage and pulls off, and there's like this teenage guy's face. Can't be more than maybe like 16. You're not sure how he got in here. Red curly hair, super pale, freckles, some acne. He's got braces, and he's like is talking to the DJ, and they both just look super confused. Why don't we do... Are you trying to do this unseen, or are you trying to just pass it off as this guy's drunk?
I think the idea is to go as unnoticed as possible, and then if noticed, be like, man, he hit his head, like, really hard. I don't know if he was drinking beforehand, but, like, it was bad.
Why don't
That's,
we
like,
do...
the backup plan. Otherwise, the idea is just to, like, hold him like he's drunk and, like, kind of stealthily move through the crowd.
So why don't we do dexterity stealth for your roll? As you're moving through, you notice that the bites on the bartender's neck aren't bleeding any longer. There's like a little bit of puckering in the wounds themselves, but it's like the vampire didn't really even get like a full draw in that first gulp before he started reacting.
Oh, yeah, that's 3 successes.
Nice. You weave your way through the crowd, leading him. He's not a big guy, but he is kind of built, and so you do have to use your strength to just kind of keep him upright, but you carry him through the building, and as you exit the other side and step onto the sidewalk, you finally hear the DJ be like, "Oh, all right, well, I guess we're here to party," and he like starts playing some other music. Meanwhile, in the break area, what are Alex and Billy doing?
Hey, Billy, once you get Fiona in, or get her in there for some help, I'll go out the backside because you guys came in the front.
Where should I meet you?
Back of the vehicle.
Okay. So I think Billy's got his marching orders. He's trying to get Fiona at least inside the building to some sort of shelter. as job one.
Okay. And as you do that, she is, kind of mobile, so she can help you a little bit more. Are you trying to do this stealthily? Are you trying to keep attention away from you? Are you trying to make it look like she's been injured or...
So right now we're in the alley, right?
Right.
So this is, I'm hoping, not a hoppin' poppin' place with a lot of eyeballs. I just want to get her inside, unless we're like, I don't know, are we drawing a crowd already?
So, sorry, let me clarify. So you are actually in like that little break area that's kind of like closed off between like a half wall and then the buildings that are around it. Alex is kind of sitting at the doorway into the alley that goes beyond. You're closer to the door that goes into the club. Do you want to take Fiona into the club, or did you want to take her somewhere else?
I wanted to just get her back into the club.
Okay.
And really like right inside, even some kind of, liminal space, a hallway, a bathroom, just not on the street.
Moving through, you had noticed you came through like a small storage area that had access to a cooler. There was like a door that went to a bathroom. You could definitely take her back that way.
Yeah, that's good enough.
Okay.
And if I can get her, I don't know, standing or sitting or seeming like she's not about to fall over, that's job done for me.
So as you pick her up and try and get her on her feet, you turn and you start heading in. You look up, and the barback that kind of been trying to take care of the bar business on his own as the bartenders had left, is just staring out the door at you, like confused. Everything all right?
I think Fiona's a little woozy here. Could you help her?
Oh yeah, I mean she doesn't look good. Why does she have blood on her shirt?
I don't know. Here, help me with her. And I'm just really trying to hand her off to him.
Why don't you do a manipulation subterfuge?
That would be so bad for me.
I am actually decent at this, but let's see how well the dice actually roll.
I would roll 1 dice for that roll.
Would be 3 successes.
Fantastic. You just knowing this guy is pretty green, like this is probably his first job in the adult world. You just kind of take on this like role of, or this persona of, you know what you're doing, and you're delegating this responsibility. And he's like, oh, okay, yeah, okay. And he like kind of helps her over, and she's looking around, and she leerily looks at you and then wanders off with him into the room beyond. Alex, at the gate, you're like grabbing the wallets and all of this, and you hear, is everything okay in there?
Oh, they're coming down the alley?
So you hear the voice, and you think they were coming from the direction that the explosion happened.
Okay. I'm going to send the drone a little bit over and just look to see what I can see number-wise there, like regular people, etc.
So your camera shows that there's like a couple of maybe early 20-ish girls that are like they're wearing like long t-shirts over some shorts. It looks like they came from down. They're walking in the direction that the vampire had run off. And they're just kind of like trying to peek around, and they're like kind of holding each other as they do so. We heard.
Guessing they're scared, so Alex isn't going to respond to him,
Okay.
but now that he knows he's there, he's going to pull out like a little M80, a little firework
Yeah.
M80 that makes a nice little, explosive sound, and just going to light it, toss it up on top to try to scare them away, and watch their reaction when this M80 goes off, and then just roll for it after if they
Nice.
run off.
Why don't we call that manipulation, intimidation?
Okay. That's
I'd also be really bad at that.
yeah, and I want to make sure it's going well, so I'm going to use my desperation because this is a bit of subterfuge here.
Okay.
Three successes.
Nice. The firecracker goes off. You hear both of them shriek, and then they're pounding footsteps on, like, you can hear they were barefoot. They're just like running down the alley
Okay.
as Billy
And
returns.
using my Overwatch to see if anybody else is nearby before I take off.
I'm legit in awe at the way Alex is employing explosives to solve different kinds of problems. I love it. All right, so you send Overwatch up to do what?
I'm just using the drone as Overwatch, and like once everybody scared them off, he'll take off with the wheelchair. And
Yeah.
try to get out of the way, and he'll look through the alleys he's going. I'm expecting there's vampire parts on the walls and stuff.
As you send the drone, or watching the drone, and you're kind of waiting for Billy, who's coming back, you do notice that as the camera moves, there are flashing lights, and you see off in the distance a fire truck and an ambulance.
Sure.
Further off, you can see more flashing lights, but you're not sure if they're police vehicles or what.
Oh yeah, but I got plenty of time to get out of this alleyway and onto the street and away.
So, Billy, you step back in. What do you do?
Alex had mentioned the vehicle. Do you have like a van, something that would presumably be accessible for you?
Yeah.
That sort of thing?
Yep, it's modified where the gas is on the hand pedestals.
So if I'm, I think probably I'm heading over there. I don't know if I have keys to that or if the plan was just for Alex to meet me there. But that's where he sent me, so that's where I'm going.
Okay. Alex, where are you going?
I'm going to go to the van. I'm going to take a little bit of roundabout, make sure I'm not being followed. But...
Okay. And Mary, as you exit the bar, you know several other people are outside smoking and just kind of hanging out. They look up at you. A couple of them giggle at the guy that you're carrying, as he obviously has overdone it. Where do you go?
So I have a question. Mechanically, did we have to spend points to like have a car? Like it would make sense if she had a car, but I don't know if that is something that you have to spend points to have.
No, everyone either had a car or shared the van, like that you could have all come in the van. So depending on how you decided how you think your character would have shown up
I think
tonight.
she probably brought her own car. I think she probably avoids the van whenever possible.
Okay.
She's not the biggest fan of being crammed in the back with
Crammed in the
all
van.
the other people. So she's gonna go to her car, which is parked next to the van, and just like guide the unconscious Ray into the passenger seat and like buckle him up, and then just like lean against the car waiting for the rest of them to appear at the van.
Gotcha. Peter, do you feel like you parked close?
No,
close?
not really close. It'd be a little bit of distance because he wouldn't want to be have cameras right there across from the club on his van, etc.
Right.
So he'd be rolling around, and as he passes people, like there's probably people out here partying. You'll be like, "Hey, got a couple of dollars to spare?"
Gotcha.
You
Gotcha.
know, just kind of making himself, feel like like he's not out of the place here. He's like bumming if anybody has questions, etc.
Gotcha. And Mary, do you think you parked close or far away?
I think Mari parked next to the van, so that they're next to each other in case we needed.
Oh, gotcha. Sorry, I thought you were going to go to the car and then go back to the van and meet them there.
No, she's
Gotcha. I
leaning up
misunderstood.
against her car. Just it's next to the van.
Okay. So, Billy's actually the first one to make it since Billy isn't carrying an unconscious person and isn't like trying to kind of be seen unless there's something else that Billy wanted to do.
No, I think if Billy has like a minute at all, I think he'd just be leaning on the van, waiting for um, Miri and Alex to show up. Maybe taking a moment to pull out his phone, check the scanner bands to see like has this hit the 911 feeds yet? Is there any indication how many units are on their way? Just get a little bit of a situational awareness while he's waiting for the others to show up.
Okay. So as you are scanning through, you definitely pick up that several people would call 911 due to the explosion. And it took you a few minutes to get here. Since then, some other calls have shown in or have been called into 911 that are about bodies in an alley next to the Red Room bar.
So did Billy just like walk past Mari carrying Ray and not do anything? Because I thought Mari like exited the club before Billy did.
You went out the front, Billy went out the side.
Okay. Is there that many directions to get to where the car is?
Well, from what I'm understanding is like Alex kind of like did a attention derail. I'm going off over this direction and weaving around to get there, whereas Billy's just kind of strolling and checking for information, whereas you went out the front. And so it sounded like the three of you didn't end up going together until you get to the van, unless I'm mistaken about that.
I was just, I guess, picturing in my mind how if we were both leaving from the same place,
Right.
how if I left before we didn't run into each other while I'm carrying.
Yeah, no, you had to make it through the club and then, carrying this guy, whereas Billy like walked out the side and essentially is heading that direction. So not far on the heels of Billy arriving at the van, you get to your car. I don't know if Billy's outside the van or is in the van.
Do I have keys to the van?
Yeah, I think we would all, just because, it's a dangerous business. You can't count on one person getting back.
If I have keys, then Billy would be in the passenger seat, with his phone like this.
So as Billy walks up on this van, Jason, what does this van look like?
It's a white van, has a side opening, obviously, because it has to have the motor to lift him in.
Gotcha.
Obviously, no driver's seat. It's got the locking position for the wheels. It's an older model van. It does have a roof that slides open that he actually uses to send the drone through whenever they're trying to use for scouting, etc. Does have like one side was painted. It's got like a unicorn on it.
You beat me to it.
It was like that's how it came. Not his design, but it's like half peeling off and stuff.
Okay.
Obviously, it has the tag on the mirror, and the tags itself are handicap tags. So he's probably parked in a handicap spot.
I mean, you're kind of parked on the road, not on the road itself, but like on a side street. You're not in a parking lot or anything, and so you're to
I don't
avoid
wanna pay
security
those fees.
cameras. And so as you walk up, Mari, it's quite dark, but you see as you get closer, just the like soft glow on Billy's face of his phone as he's intently scrolling. Do you want to take this unconscious bartender to your vehicle or put him in the van? Oh, sorry, you're either muted or it didn't pick up.
I think I put him in my vehicle
Okay.
because putting a like unconscious body in a van is just
I mean, you just like open the door and throw him
really
in, right?
suspicious. Well, it's really suspicious, and if there's like traffic cameras or whatever that might pick up something, that's like a thing that's gonna stand out
Totally.
versus helping a like drunk person into a car.
Okay. So, Billy, as Mari's doing this, you notice, do you stay in the vehicle or are you?
I think I feel awkward because Mari really could have used some help, and I definitely wasn't there. Um, does Mari look like she's struggling under the weight of this person, or is this she has this under control?
I think she has this under control. I think she is often the person that
Hides the bodies?
carries the live ones out, like gets the live ones out of whatever situation we were in, like because she's not like a talker, so giving her just a physical activity is the best use of her skills.
Nice.
The only time it's a true struggle is if they're like really tall or super super broad, because then their feet are just like
Right? There's just like two rubber streaks behind as you drag them down the road. Their shoes leaving trails.
I think Billy he sort of like opens the door and sticks his head out. Like, have you seen Peter? Do you need a hand?
yeah, I'm fine. No, I haven't seen him.
As Billy like leans out and says this, Mari, what does your car look like as you're stuffing this person into your passenger seat?
Yeah, my car is probably not a car. It's probably like a mid-sized SUV, probably like some 2000s model of like a RAV4 or Ford Explorer. Probably a RAV4, just an older model of a RAV4, and just
It's going to be whatever model wants to sponsor this show.
yeah, exactly. But it's like in a like standard kind of like tan color that was popular in the thousands,
Right? Just blends in
So-
with all of the other ones. Perfect.
Yeah.
After you set this bartender in there and kind of make sure you're not going to slam the door on him and close the door, you hear Peter rolling down the sidewalk. Peter, what do you like? What's your goal here? Do you want I guess as you rejoin the group, what was your plan?
Well, so we know where the sirens are coming from, right?
And you can hear them off in the distance now. They're a couple
Yeah.
blocks over.
I mean, we'll pull up like Google Maps and go kind of plot a route to out of here, and like depending on how real time the update has been, like this area may be blocked off, this other area it's routing around, 10-minute delay or whatever. Just carefully drive out, get in the van. I don't know if I made anything panhandling along the way. But,
I was going to have you roll for it, actually.
Okay.
Why don't we do... I feel like manipulation... I want to say etiquette or streetwise.
All right. Streetwise would be good.
Okay.
Wow. 5 successes.
Nice. Yeah, not only did you get like several dollars in change, but like people also gave you like a couple 20s and some like there's like a Starbucks gift card. You're not sure how much is on it, and there's like a Red Robin gift card.
Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have that in like a little bag, essentially. Like, he's been holding out the bag as people, give it to him. And so, like, if the cops stop him, like, oh, yeah, I was down here panhandling. Sorry, officer, type thing.
Totally.
So, I'll have the bag there ready.
All right, so everyone loads up in their vehicles.
Yeah. Unless somebody says otherwise, I think Mari plans on taking him back to her like condo because she has a room set up that is basically like a guest bedroom, but also like per game mechanics of surgery, it's got like med kit and like banana bag and like that kind of thing, something that can help maybe get him on his feet, but also isn't necessarily as creepy as waking up in an auto shop.
Yeah.
What's weird about that?
That probably makes more sense than us taking him right now.
All right,
so I think she's. My God.
It's ambiance. You're in LA. There's traffic going by.
But yeah, so I think she just kind of heads home.
Okay. And
Yeah, I'll head back to the shop. Like I said, taking whatever route, kind of a little bit of detours here and there, as Google says, hey, this route's blocked or whatever.
Billy, as you're watching your phone, kind of keeping things updated, there's definitely some mentions of the paramedics that arrived. But what catches your attention is this phrase that pops up. You've gotten used to seeing it now that you've awoken to the world that you actually live in instead of the one that people in general are blinded to. And it's the one that goes out to emergency services when strange occurrences pop up. You can either tell me what that is, or we can leave it an unknown factor for now. But figured as the ex-police officer, it would be best for you to name what this is. Essentially, you know that it's been flagged for whoever makes these things disappear.
I think the phrase is nothing unusual. And that doesn't. Perfect. You wouldn't normally see that in like emergency services communication. You don't editorialize, but when I see the words "nothing unusual," that has pricked my interest.
Okay. So as you both drive into the night, LA. Sorry, you're not in LA right now. I'm stuck in Billy's past. Ah.
We're in Santa Cruz.
Right.
Lovely.
As you head off to your separate locations, we're going to wrap it up for tonight. Thanks everybody for joining. I appreciate it. Thanks, Carly, for joining. I hope everything went well with your game previous to this. And Jason and Ed, thank you for, Jason, thanks for sitting in the background.
Oh no, it was good. I loved hearing the backstory. This is awesome.
As we ran through Ed's stuff. And then next time, hopefully Tim will be able to join us. Again, thoughts going out to Tim, and hopefully everything is going okay out there and dealing with wildfires. And Sid will be returning as the newly awoken hunter. Maybe. Guess it depends on what Ray decides to do with their life from here. Thank you all for joining us. Why don't we do a quick round of outros? Carly, you came in last. Why don't you start first?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Carly Sykin. I also go by Armadillo Dice. I make those clicky-clacky, shiny math rocks that people love to play with. So you can check out my Etsy shop at Armadillo Dice. Otherwise, I play games here on Wanderer's Haven and run them, mostly Daggerheart. And you can also find me over occasionally playing on the channel Hit Points Not Required. And yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Why don't we move on over to Ed? Ed, tell us about yourself.
Yeah, my name's Ed. This evening, I was playing the ex-IAD officer, Billy Gray. And it's incredibly flattering and humbling to have the opportunity to dive into that kind of stuff. Just an absolute blast. It's part of what I've come to expect, but also just really love here at Wanderer's Haven. So shout out to you, Jeremy, for making all that happen, hosting, being a fabulous GM and all-around human being. So consider yourself flattered.
Oh, I have you fooled.
And let me kick it over to Jason.
Nice.
Awesome. I'm Jason. I was playing Peter/Alex, depending on which name I'm going by at the time. The little explosives bug. And thanks again for running, Jeremy. Yeah, like
Absolutely.
Ed said, it's been fun, a lot of fun so far. So, thank you.
Nice. Looking forward
and
to
I got to
seeing...
disagree with that channel name, Carly. You 1 hit point is required.
I did not choose the channel name.
That's fair. I'm Jeremy. This is the channel you can find me on most of the time, unless I'm guesting as somebody else's channel, but you can come back. This is Saturday, right?
Yep.
Okay, then why don't you join me on Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern for the Horde of the Dragon Queen, our ongoing D&D campaign where we're playing the cultist side of Tyranny of Dragons. So they're trying to bring back Tiamat, not stop Tiamat's return. We will be back here in 2 weeks for Hunter Bad Blood episode 3. I do things on Monday at 3 p.m., but it's really kind of random on what I decide to do that day. If you want to come see what the randomness is for the day, join me at 3 p.m. on Monday. We're going to raid after we cut out of here, so stick around for that. And thanks again, everyone, for joining. We will see you next time.
Star Wars Monday, Raven's reminding you.
Star Wars got canceled.
Aw.
Yeah, it just happened today. After I made the announcements and everything, it was like, oh yeah, that's the thing. Canceled in the way we were aiming to reschedule it, but life got in the way, and so we have to do so.
Crap.
Yep, I'm looking forward to it being rescheduled, though. We did Session 0 last week, and it's going to be a ton of fun when it does happen, so keep an eye out for that. You can head over to the socials and follow if you want to get announcements for all of the things that we have going on. Keep an eye on that. We're going to raid, so hang out, and we will see you all next time. Bye.
Take care, everybody. Thanks again.